back another month.
Mine didn't break out for the longest.
Really?
And I thought it was having
It just hurt like hell. Didn't
Oh
it?
God! And I went to the emergency room and asked his wife, and they didn't know what was wrong, but I thought it was my heart.
Where was it?
Recollect all council members present. Moving to our department reports. Starting with code.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the code department report covering the month of January. In January, we did 46 code inspections, we wrote 30 permits. We had 11 new businesses. We had 18 that closed. Major projects that were ongoing at that time were the medical office building, which is about to be finished, and the Dollar General, which actually is now finished, as well as Shane's Rib Shack, which opened up a couple of weeks ago. The city marshal removed 14 signs from the roadway. He wrote 40 repair cleanup orders, and he issued 4 citations. The planning commission approved 1 request for certificate of appropriateness of the corridor overlay district at 1301 West Spring Street. If you have any questions about the balance of the report, I'll be glad to answer them, or any of those items.
Mr. Counselor, you may have said it. What's the status of Dollar General?
They're open. They opened last Friday.
Any other questions for Patrick? Okay, thank you, Patrick. Electric and telecom.
Yes, ma'am. Total MEA bill is a little over $1 million, with the fixed portion of that being right at $800,000. Came out to 74.6% fixed this month, a little bit down from last month at 80%. We're still, Patrice is putting out a mailer to all our customers with the new policy I approved last month. We had to wait. There was one mailer going, the newsletter was going out, so we had to wait for the next possible time to send it out. So she'll get that out. We've been contacting some of the customers who've been going over the 350 gig and discussing the issue with them. We had 119 above 350, which is still less than 5%. With a peak usage of 1.4 gigabits per second. Now, with that 1.4 has gone up over the past couple of nights. Mike and the engineering staff installed, well, actually doubled our QAM downstreams, which doubled the amount of bandwidth available to a cable modem or the cable modems in a certain geographic area. We've been having some bottlenecks in certain areas where people weren't getting the speed that they were expecting. We doubled that downstream. We've got that fixed on every node but one, and we will be cutting that node in half over the next few weeks to get that resolved in that side. So, but that pushed our load up to about 1.6, 1.7 gigabits. Well, we only have 2. So we've started discussions with Georgia Public Web to increase our backhaul back to P6. We helped restore power in Lawrenceville and with Walton EMC in the Gratis Good Hope area. The Davis Lacey Street project's a little over 50% complete now. We have deployed residential wireless right outside the city. We're meeting tomorrow with some engineers to design a residential wireless project for the subdivision at the end of Ammons Bridge. The name escapes me right now. It's a 134 home project that is not covered by anyone but Windstream, and it is in the city limits. So we met with their homeowners association, and they're very excited. We're also engineering a couple of solutions for some local businesses that need a higher upstream load than we can provide with the cable modem, and really don't want to pay that extra cost for a fiber connection. So we've got a solution for those businesses, and we're getting that worked out. I'll take any questions you have.
No questions for Brian? Okay, thank you. Going to finance.
Thank you, Mayor. The first report, we'll skip down to loss. It was $163,000, which is an 11% increase over last year, so Christmas must have been pretty good for everyone. We finished the audit field work, or the audit field work was completed last week. We tried to get as much done ahead of time, so they weren't waiting on us, so that allowed them to get their work done quicker and get them out the door. We should have some audit entries and trial balances from them very soon. Moving on to the financial report, this is December's information. Again, we're still waiting for a couple audit entries, but this is fairly close to what the final numbers will be. For general fund, our fund balance increased $438,000 due to the revenues being higher than the expenses. Utilities, their net position increased as well by $2.3 million. And solid waste, their net position also increased by $369,000. That's the first time for solid waste since we started reporting them as an enterprise fund. This includes solid waste paying back all their advances to general fund. If you have any questions, I'll take them.
Okay, no questions. Finance, move into fire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The fire department, I think you'll see a note on there by Lieutenant Owens, had a total of 233 calls for the month of January, and that's the most calls on record for the fire department has ever handled. So it's kind of a new adventure for them. Of those 233, 104 of those were med assist type calls. One other highlight, myself, two of the captains and three of the lieutenants attended an 8-hour training session on ISO in January, or in February rather, and I'm conservatively optimistic about our ISO that will take place in April after the meeting and the training we had. So, pending any questions on fire.
Okay, police.
Police department answered 4,354 calls for service, had 1,405 phone calls at the PD, had 339 cases in city court, arrested 100 adults and 16 juveniles, and pending your questions on police.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Solid waste.
Thank you, Mayor. Our January stats, we collected 361 tons of commercial waste, residential curbside 380 tons, bulk trash 94 tons, recycling 98 tons. On the recycling, the bottom half of the sheet, we'll show how we got to that number and broken down. And 4,927 tons came to the transfer station. And I also added a chart for summarized 2014. Our total for trash and garbage collection was 11,032 tons and recycled 1,545. And that was a 12% diversion rate. So 12% of our waste didn't go into our transfer station. The other 88%, that's where it went. And I'll take any questions you might have. Also want to point out too that we did have an increase in our curbside recycling compared to 2013. We collected 167 tons. Last year we collected 216 tons. That was like a 23% increase.
What kind of number are you shooting for on recycling? I mean, what's a good number? The city's recycling like it's supposed to be.
These are our measurements. They're business and industry. They have their own environmental report. I'm going to try to collect a report that's inside the city limits, but around 25 to 30%. There was a requirement at one time, 25% reduction, but they waived that reduction. But the 12% is a total of everything we collect. Now, our curbside numbers are around 27%. So this would include cardboard from commercial customers, some scrap metal, and scrap tires. I converted scrap tires into tonnage, so it can give you a really good number of what's not going into the building. But we did collect 161 tires for January. It's like two tons total.
So Danny, when you say on here, recycling curbside in tons is 14 tons, that's what people put out in the bins?
Yeah, the 18-gallon containers.
And I know you use percentages just now, but what, is that 14 tons, is there a goal that says we'd like for that to be 20 tons, or, I mean, is there any numbers associated with that?
Yeah, we've been right at 22% for the citywide. The goal was at 25, and so I would say 25 to 30% is a good measurement to what we need to get to. So that naturally that change will go up for 14 tons, but the 25 to 30%, the measurements are in percentages compared to the waste that's going into the landfill. So we really just wanted to show those numbers and kind of, I also put a bar in the January to see how we trend
Okay.
for this year.
Any other questions, Andy? Okay. Are you doing streets also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Streets and transportation.
I just want to highlight some of the report. Administration, we ran out the community building 4 times. Repaired 87 vehicles in the fleet department. Ground crew picked up 1.59 tons of litter throughout the city. Repaired 5 streets and patched 3 utility cuts. In the sign and marking division, they took care of 68 work orders. Building maintenance completed 47 work orders. And that is the report.
Any questions on streets, transportation? Okay, thank you, Dan. Water, sewer, and gas.
Thank you, Mayor. Everything was pretty average for the month of January. Water treatment plant, we treated 65 million gallons of water for the month. Water distribution area, biggest thing was the leak repair. It's 41. Had a lot of service leaks for the month due to the cold weather. Wastewater treatment plant, we treated 47 million gallons. Everything else was pretty average. Natural gas, we did install 634 ERPs. This is for the AMR project. And back to the water just for a second, we are 95% of the residential meters have been installed now. So we're getting there. I think there's a few more of those, and then we'll start the commercial routes. So, the gas ERPs, we're 90% complete with those as well. Stormwater. Biggest thing was the ditches and pipe clean, 19,804 feet. And as you can see, the training facility was pretty much closed for the month of January. Our instructor had surgery, so he was out for the month. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
Of the new water meters that have been installed, has anyone seen any vast difference in usage?
We've had a couple cases. It's been on some of the meters we pulled out have been as old as, I think the oldest meter so far was 61 years old. So naturally we saw some difference on that meter. Had quite a few in the 50 to 55 range. So those are the ones that we've really seen the difference in. But large scale, it hadn't been that bad.
Okay, any other questions for Roger? All right, thank you. That concludes our department reports. We're moving into committee information, finance.
Thank you, Mayor. We have one item on the agenda this evening. It's an insurance plan amendment. Ms. Price is going to handle that.
This is just a plan amendment that has to deal with the Affordable Care Act. We have to implement out-of-pocket limits, and it's to just update the limit, which is a total for us between the medical and the drugs of $6,600. And there, again, it's just to comply with the 2016 Affordable Care Act.
Okay, do I have a motion that we approve the, that plan amendment?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
We recommend full council next week.
All right, airport.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have two items. First one, proposal, fuel farm service. Do you or Mr. Purvis want to?
Well,
do that,
I can
Renee?
speak to it, or
Okay.
Mr. Fussel's here. Basically, this is so that when we get the fuel farm, our FBO will take care of all the details that go along with this, and we'll implement this into a contract, and the city attorney will draw up the contract. So we just need to approve the terms that are listed here, and so that we can draw up the contract.
Yeah, I attended the airport commission meeting, and this is what the members of that commission highly recommend that we approve an agreement with Mr. Is it Rayner? Is that how you pronounce it? Rayner. And so we're looking for a motion for council to move forward with this agreement. I'll propose that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Has been motioned and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passed. Represented for the regular council meeting next week. The next item that we have is courtesy vehicle use.
Well,
Go ahead.
we have two older Ford Tauruses that we've proposed that we allow the airport to use as a courtesy vehicle. And this is just all part of our effort to make our airport more competitive and economically viable in this market. And Renee, you can speak a little bit about the cars. I mean, we've got two that we've, I mean, I don't,
Just older model vehicles. We've got
Right.
everything approved with the attorney as far as the agreement, and they'll sign an agreement, and our insurance company, we've gotten, you know.
this is pretty standard for most airports that are seeing, more traffic, corporate traffic, the type of thing that we're looking to bring to Monroe. And lots of times they have a car that they can use as a courtesy, and that's what we're looking to do. So I'll make the motion that we approve the use of these two Ford Tauruses for that purpose.
Is there a second?
Second.
Has been motioned and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. We'll present this also next week at the regular meeting. Thank you.
Let me just say, these cars were in the fleet. We didn't go out and buy two cars to put out at the airport. Those were cars that we wasn't gonna get any much for, but they're decent enough to drive around town, just in case anybody wants to know. All right, Public Works.
Yes, Mayor, I have one item. It's the discussion approval of the Great American Cleanup Week. Dan, you want to take it?
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Yes, we're asking to designate the week of April 20th through 24th as Great American Cleanup Week. This is the week we allow citizens inside city limits to bring members to the transfer station at no charge. If you bring tires, the limit is 10. But we will take paints, metals. Also, community groups that may want to just start a little pickup program, they can just bring it out there and we'll take care of it.
Okay, and as usual, we'll put it on our local station,
Yes.
newspaper,
Through social
website,
media.
social
Yes.
media.
Okay.
Do we have to make a motion on that, or so it says discussion approval?
No, I think this is.
That's what I was,
just
because it's an
information.
annual
Yeah.
thing we do. Okay, that'll be all, Mayor.
Okay. utilities.
Thank you, Mayor. Call on Councilman Purvis for this disclosure relating to our 2015 CDBG application.
I'm just going to read this letter. This letter is to address the conflict of interest regulations required by the Community Development Block Grant Program. I am currently a City Council member of the City of Monroe, and I own the following properties under my company, Georgia Greenlands LLC, in the city's proposed FY 2015 CDBG target area: 117 5th Street, 120 5th Street, 121 5th Street, 122 5th Street, 108 6th Street, 110 6th Street, 112 6th Street, 118 6th Street, 121 6th Street. Additionally, I hold a 50% share of the company HL Creek LLC, which owns the following properties in the city's proposed FY 2015 CDBG target area: 114 5th Street, 118 5th Street, and 109 6th Street. At the February 10th, 2015 City Council meeting, I stated the conflict of interest regarding my property ownership in the CDBG target area before the council and abstained from discussing and voting on the CDBG resolution. Further, I fully disclosed my conflict of interest at the City Council meeting on March the 3rd, 2015. Please be advised that I will continue to abstain from voting on any issues concerning this project if funded. Moreover, I was not involved in the selection of the proposed CDBG target area. The Director of Water and Gas, the project engineer, and the grant consultants determined this project target area based on the severity of need.
Thank you. The next item is Mr. Middlebrooks, out-of-state travel.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. This is the Southern Gas Association conference that I bring to you every year. March 23rd to the 25th. I'd like to send Tommy Arnold, which is our instructor at the training facility, send him down one for a booth at the conference, and also they've asked him to actually do one of the breakout sessions on leak investigation.
I move approval.
Motion is second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. We recommend that to full council. Mr. Thompson, purchase of a vehicle.
Yes, sir. Mr. Little, this is a CDBG, not CDBG, CIP project. Too much CDBG going on with that. This is to replace a condemned 1998 aerial bucket truck made by TECO. The hydraulic manifold cracked on it in late 2013, and the manufacturer no longer makes that truck or that part. We went through the project of deciding which bucket truck we wanted. We bid that out. We have 3 bids returned, low bid being Altec Industries at $96,683. And I'll answer any questions you may have on the video.
This will be funded from the capital budget.
MCT.
From the MCT fund.
Yes, sir.
Will it be a salvage value for the old one?
We're gonna, the truck is actually in pretty decent shape. We're gonna take the boom off of it and use it to either haul equipment or haul wire. Hook it to a trailer and leave our equipment always on the trailer ready to go out on the job, instead of, right now we're unhooking the trailer from a bucket truck and then put the bucket truck inside the building at night. We'll be able to leave this truck hooked up to the trailer with our equipment, whatever equipment we're using at that time. But the boom itself, no, there'll be no salvage value for the boom besides the metal. What we get out of the metal.
All right. Is there any other questions?
This was included in your capital budget?
Yes, sir. And it is under what we got approved in the capital budget, sir.
And the lowest bid is Altec?
Yes, sir.
And it's listed on the screen. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion, Chair, that we approve I would send to the council for approval the proposal from Altech Industries at $96,683.
So motion's there a second?
I'll second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We'll recommend the purchase of the full council.
Thank you.
Next item is the solar policies.
Yes, sir. We've been talking about this off and on for a few months, and I have talked to each one of the council members about this in the past couple of weeks, just to make sure everybody was fully informed of what's going on. The legislature, the Georgia General Assembly, is passing a law that is going to make it easier to install solar panels or have solar panels financed, what we call distributed generation, placed on our system. They're also going to require us to hook a small percentage of that and buy a small percentage of that generated power back from the customer. We have no policy that covers solar hookup to our system. So Electric Cities has been very out in front of this. They had a policy created back last fall, but a few cities, us, Griffin, and Covington, were concerned about the tariff. The tariff is built to recover your fixed cost back to the generator. And the reason for that is a house with solar, say a house that's 100% solar, well, they have to pull power from the grid at night. They can't just be not connected to the grid. And if it rains, whatever. So they are responsible for the portion of that, of being hooked up to that, for the right of being hooked up. If you didn't have this tariff in place, basically you'd be spreading that cost to your other customers. Your other customers would be paying for that solar customer to be connected to your grid. So it's really just the fairest way to deal with it. Several cities have already passed this. ECG changed the tariff after MEAG got involved and explained to them that some cities do have a 75 to 80% fixed cost. We're happy with the tariff now. I handed out all of y'all a little frequently asked questions thing, so if people do have questions for you, you can answer those. If they have any more questions for you, just send them to me. I'll try to answer the question for them. What I would like you to approve tonight are all the agreements, the distributed generation tariff, and a buyback, what that buyback rate would be. And what's going to happen is ECG is going to calculate that, let me get the wording correct on this, avoided cost of generation price. Basically, it is a market price. That price will change month to month, but averaged out last year, that price was 4 cents. So that's what, let's say the mayor had a house, and he had a bunch of solar on there, and he generated more than he used. There'll be a two-way meter there at the house, and that meter will record which way the electricity goes. If more comes to us, we'll pay them whatever that avoided cost of generation rate is for that month. And ECG will calculate that each month for each city. I'll answer any questions you may have.
How many customers do you know that are going to be
We
affected?
have 0 right now. We have one project that I know of that is trying to be funded through a grant.
Commercial project?
Yes.
And this works commercial?
This takes care, all those agreements take care of 10 kW and below, which is the normal house, and 10 kW and above, which is a commercial entity.
And these are projects that you said, the average, if a guy wants to go put a solar project on his house, it's probably a $20,000 investment,
Yes, sir.
minimum.
And the only way that the solar works right now in a residential situation is through the government subsidies, through the tax break. It's just the payback. We've had a couple of cities who had people that just installed them because that's what they wanted to do. Their conscience.
I think EMC has a few.
They have a few.
Alton County.
Oxford has 2 now. 1 residence and 1 business. Newton has a few. Marietta has a couple. Mostly it's the person that feels like it's what they need to do, and they have the money to do it. But with the new law, I believe it's going to force out a big financing deal where a business will be created to finance these solar projects and take that tax credit. And that's how they'll make their money.
And you just don't know what you're gonna see down the line with
Yeah.
renewables being pushed out with the coal situation.
Right, you just don't know what you're gonna see.
Don't know what you see, so we need to be out in front of this instead of behind it, and I feel comfortable right now that this is the best DCG's got, and trying to look it over and.
It is the best thing out there. It's not the last you're gonna hear out of renewable energy.
This will be probably a changing document from time to time.
Well, yeah, this is not something that you just came up with. It is from
Oh,
the Electric
it's
Cities
been-
of Georgia.
It's been floating around.
And
at
it's an
ECG,
industry
EA,
standard.
for the
Yeah.
past- now, this is the standard
For
that
right
all
now.
cities are passing.
Is there a motion then that we approve the policies and the rates that are stated therein?
I make a motion that we approve the policies, the tariff, and the payback, correct?
And the avoided cost of generation rate.
And that too. I make that motion.
There's a motion by Ms. Dixon. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
We'll recommend that to council. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Public safety, have anything?
We don't have anything, Mayor.
Economic development?
Ask Ms. Crosby to come up. I think she has a guest with her tonight she might introduce to us also.
I do. I'll go ahead and introduce Caleb Thomas to you. He is pursuing an Eagle Scout project, and I would like to do that within the city limits of Monroe and in downtown Monroe. We've had 2 Eagle Scout projects, one in 2013 and one in 2014, that we're really proud of, that have been a part of our downtown, and so we're excited to have another one. So he wanted to come and share with you what he'd like to do.
How y'all doing?
Good.
This stage has already introduced me, but my name is Caleb Thomas. I'm a member of Troop 75 here in Monroe. My parents are Diane and Bruce Thomas. I am a homeschooler who plays sports at Westminster Christian Academy in Watkinsville. And right here, y'all can share that. Now, as you can see from these pictures, it's a cabinet-like box on would be on some type of post. I plan on having 2 of them. One will be in the courtyard of the Art Guild. The other one will be at Pilot Park off of Church Street. Mine, it resembles the one on the right-hand side with the slanted roof, except that it'll have shingles. One will be red, the other one will be blue. Are there any questions?
So when you build these guys up, how does it work from the standpoint of the books?
Access of the books.
Access to the books. Well, I plan on getting books from my troop and ask the public library, and I'll just put them in there. The libraries are going to be free, so there'll be a little plaque that says My Free Library. So it's just a free book. The way it works is you take one out, you put one back. So you take the book, you read it, and you put it back. If you don't have a book to put in there, you just take one, read it, and put it back when you're done.
Is it well protected from bad weather?
Yes, ma'am. The person who started this was up in, I think it was in Michigan, so he was dealing with a lot of snow and bad weather up there. So, yeah.
So if all the books get gone, they just gone?
Their website is, you can't really take anything that's free. So if all the books get gone, then I guess you just put one.
Just fill it,
Okay.
All right, well, we're looking forward to this project.
Good, thank you.
It's neat.
Walton Wellness has also expressed interest to provide health books that would be ones of physical fitness and healthy habits. We'll probably see more of these as we grow the trend to lending libraries. And there's actually one on Church Street on a private property in front of the home. You haven't seen it before. There's already one in the It's a great project, and we love that when the Eagle Scouts think of doing something, they want to do it. A couple things I wanted to remind you of or share with you. One is that the Monroe Mobile Tour connected to the National Main Street Conference, it's coming on April 1st, that's a Wednesday. I'll send out more details to the council, because I would love for you to attend the lunch on that day. Our mobile tour is the first one to sell out of all the mobile tours offered. And I was shocked by this, because you can go to Delawnago or Sweet Auburn or all these historic districts around Atlanta. And so when they told me at DCA that ours sold out, I said, why? How? They said, well, I think Monroe has something that people want to see. So we'll have 45 people from all over the United States coming to see, and possibly some members from the National Main Street Board coming to Monroe. And they're going to be looking at our keyless hotels, our event spaces, and just some of the local redevelopment that we've done here in Monroe. So we're really proud of that. And I think it'll be a wonderful day. So look for more details coming about being a part, introducing yourself to the group. We have a very supportive city, and I want these other downtown managers, employees, companies to see that's one of the keys to our success, that we have a community and a council who supports it and makes it possible. Earlier last week, B. Malcolm and Patrick Kelly and I went to observe the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing Conference in Macon. It's a program that was suggested to us from the Monroe Ford Economic Development Community Team. So we're looking into applying to participate in that program. I'll send you more details. It was, you can talk to any of them for more about what we just saw in the small amount of time we were there, but it sounds like a very good program that we could really benefit from in our community. So that's the GIFT program. We'll look for more for that coming. And then also just wanted to say thank you to the council for the work that you've done years ago in preparing and pulling together the LCI plans. I know there's a couple of things that we'll talk about more with current projects and future projects, but so many times when I'm meeting with developers, potential businesses, industry, we pull that plan out and show them the forethought that has gone into how the city develops. And it goes a long way. And people see on paper what our city's committed to try to make happen. So thank you for doing that. It's been very effective for showing that we really are thinking about the future in a smart way. So thank you for that.
That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, items of upcoming discussion. Item 1 will be an upcoming public hearing on the zoning ordinance of the code text amendments. And that's Patrick, kind of explain that.
Yes, sir. That's something that we'll probably be doing from time to time to keep our zoning ordinance up to date and current. And most of what we've got on there for this one is corrections of typographical errors, transposition of numbers, and a few unintended consequences as far as intent and reading. So most of what you see there is just to correct those kind of errors in the original production of the zoning ordinance.
Okay, any questions about that? Okay, we'll have an application for beer and wine sales at Monroe Food Mart. Item number 3 is a request from the Monroe First United Methodist Church closure of Waverly Boulevard. I've asked the committee that we've met with to be here in the audience just in case anybody had questions about this. If you remember last month, the church came and requested again for us to close this street, just to kind of hit some high points for all you guys and just remind you where we're at. And like I say, if you have any questions for the church, we're not going to make a decision tonight. This is just for informational purposes, and then it'll be up to y'all to decide what you want to do. But in the I guess 6 or 8 months ago, Matthew, myself, and Sam Serio met with the committee from the Methodist Church and just kind of started a dialogue. They asked us to come in to look to see about closing the street again. We met with them a couple of times. I think Matthew actually had a phone call with some people on the committee. And basically what we came up with at the time that we actually offered the Methodist Church was I think we kind of offered them 2 ways to go, is for them to buy the street at a reduced cost of somewhere around $54,000. That number was arrived from Sam Serio saying it's about a 10% value, since the land really has no value for anybody except the Methodist Church. You can't develop it, you can't do anything with it. Or either to swap some land on Highway 11 and throw in some money to make a park, which was kind of in our original plans in the first from Kepping Wood. They had a pocket park drawn there and just shut the street down and make a park right there. DOT has not come to us and said, shut the street down. It's not a dangerous street. I am getting Jeremiah to do a traffic study on the street. Information's not going to be ready until probably the end of March or the 1st of April. That's about where we stand on it. So if you guys got any questions, I just ask them to be here just in case somebody wants to ask questions or talk about things. We normally don't do this during a work session, but we're doing it tonight. Just make everything clear. I'll turn it over to you guys.
My question is for you, Mayor, to make sure on next week, we're just discussing the street. Is there going to be a vote, or because Jeremiah won't have all the information that will be needed to make a decision, exactly what's going to be expected of us on Tuesday?
That was my next comment, because we won't have all the information. I'm pulling it off of March agenda, but it will be on the April agenda as long as we have everything together by that time. So we're going to have to make a decision one way or the other. I just figured while we got while it's fresh on everybody's mind, let's talk about it. Anybody got any comments, concerns, questions for the church? Now it's time to ask them.
I just want to go on record saying that I support closing of the road. I don't think it's worth the amount of money that Sam Serio came up with. I don't think it's worth really anything. You can't build on it. The road really serves no purpose, being that there's other arteries of entry to the area, immediately behind the church. It is a dangerous church, in my opinion, regardless of what the results that Jeremiah comes up with. I mean, he can come up with whatever. It's not Jeremiah, but the machine can come up with whatever. To me, it doesn't make it justify us not closing the road if it says that, oh, there was no speeders or whatever. Because it's a dangerous road just because of how close the church is, the preschool, how it lets out, how the kids are coming and going. I just feel like that we're elected to make decisions, and I feel like everybody's scared to make a decision, and I just think that we should do what's right here, and we should set this separately from the rumors about the Henson House and the rumors about. I just think we should. The money is a separate issue in my opinion as well. I think that the church came forward. They're looking to close the road because it's a dangerous road, and I think we can do that. And I think we can address these other questions later and separately. The money, we'll still own the road if we close it, but I don't know if anybody else feels like speaking, but that's just the way I feel, and I feel like we're just kind of dragging this out too long, and I think it's a pretty simple decision. I don't see any reason to keep it open. If somebody can give me a good reason to keep it open, I'd like to hear it.
Oh, I'm not saying anything about
I'm just
keeping it
asking.
open.
I'm just asking.
If that sounded like I'm trying to keep it open,
No,
that
I'm not
was
talking about you. I'm not
Okay.
pointing it to you. I'm just saying, can anybody tell me a really good reason to keep the road open? I don't know. I'd like to hear it.
I think with the configuration of the road, and then with Walgreens entrance, and then the Davis Street corridor, it is an unsafe area.
And I do-
think closing that street can only enhance the safety of the other.
And I did have the DOT look at it, and they're not saying close the road. Mayor's right. They're not saying close the road, but they said that they would highly be in agreement or support the closing of that road for a number of reasons. I've got that in an email if I need to share it with you.
From I'm assuming a safety standpoint. Is that right?
Well, it's so close to the red light.
Yeah.
That you can hardly pull out of there, especially if there's a car or two at the red light. But they like to shut down any road on a state highway. I mean, that's just they like to see fewer and fewer points of entry to a state highway. But I mean,
I agree with Nathan, and I don't see any reason to wait either. I think we've got maybe a choice there. We could, you know, if there's some issue about the value and negotiating with the church as far as the value, we could close the street from the safety issue at Broad Street.
Talk about that later.
And no entrance or exit, go ahead and build a sidewalk across and just close the street. We'd still own the street, so if we needed to do something, so the church wanted to do something else with it there, then we can negotiate a value and price on it. But I think we need to go ahead and close the street too, I agree.
And while we're in the midst of the LCI project, that would allow us to continue that sidewalk at this time, right? Would it work in the scheme of things?
It would. I mean, they're gonna be here for a couple more months, so.
It'd work either way,
Yeah.
I guess. Okay.
Any other comments?
If the street is closed, why would we want to retain ownership?
I don't, we'd have to ask our attorneys, but I don't think we would. I'm just saying, this argument about the value of the land with attorneys and engineers could go on for 6 months. And in the meantime, I don't want to see a little kid get run over because we're just too weak to make a decision, you know? But you're right, Rita. I mean, I don't think we want to own it if we close it.
Any more discussion? Okay. Move on to, item 4 will be the first reading of zoning ordinance code text amendment.
That's related to the exact same thing we went over in item 1. It's just an agenda item so that we can get the public hearing in and the first reading that night so that we can get the second reading at this next consecutive meeting and have it adopted that night.
Okay. Item number 5 will be a resolution for the 2014 budget amendment.
That's just housekeeping, that's done for you.
Okay. Item 6 will be a resolution for Georgia Cities Week. And that coincides with the Great American Cleanup. Item 7 is the Livable Centers Initiative.
Yeah, could we have Ms. Crosby come up and talk through that? That'd be good.
Sure.
Is that okay? So everybody gets an understanding of what we're looking at here.
Yes, what this resolution is for us to apply for the next round of funding for LCI transportation implementation projects. So when they announced last fall that they were going to do another round of funding, this is the same funding program that we applied for years ago for the North Block. So when they announced it, I contacted Kevin Wood and the Atlanta Regional Commission and said, what projects from our transportation from that list that comes with the LCI plan, which of those projects would be good to apply for this cycle of applications and funding? And they suggested the Railway by Trail project. We have some maps. It's the railway project alongside the rail from Davis Street all the way to Fifth Street. And then also to get the project above the threshold for the minimal funding amount, they suggested adding another piece of the LCI, which was where the trailhead of that would be right on the property on Madison Street, where the old big grain building is, to do the streetscaping around that parcel as well, which is also part of the LCI plan. So they said piece those two together. If the application has not been filled out, we're in the process of pulling that together now, but the application will be pulled together over the next month or so, and so that's why we need a resolution to apply. Any questions?
So some of the streetscape landscaping would start at Church Street and down Midland and some of that area.
Yes.
But then also connect adjacent to the rail starting at Davis Street.
How much land is there? Is it a good little?
Or along the rail?
Yeah. I mean, is it like 10 acres? I mean, how much?
Well, it would be within the easement of the railway.
You're just talking about just the railway? Okay.
But I understand it would not be replacing the railway. It'd be a trail on the easement.
But how
Of the
many
railway.
feet did you say off of the rail, or do we even know?
Is the, I don't know the standard easement off the top of my head, I don't know if it's 50 feet on either side.
But people walk it all the time right now, don't they? Yeah.
Yes.
Photograph it, do lots of
And
things.
technically it's private property.
And this is part of the LCI master plan that was adopted a few years ago.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you. Do you want to take the next one too, the cross parking license agreement?
Yes, this agreement was drawn up by Wells Fargo. We started a conversation over a year ago with Wells Fargo about asking if they'd be willing to make their parking lot behind the ATM on Broad Street, so across the street from their property, from the bank building, if they'd be willing to make that parking lot public parking. Most of their employees don't park there anymore. They park in the public lot next to Wells Fargo. So the lot sits empty. And seeing our needs for having more available parking for the public downtown, we went back and forth and said that basically all it is allowing us to have use and removing the restricted signage. And what we would do in turn is put a free public parking sign on the lot. So just changing the signage. And so they drew this agreement up, which basically says that we make our lot public, they make their lot public, and confirm today with the attorneys at any point in time that we want to get out of the agreement, it's 30-day written notice. Any questions?
I can't believe you got them to agree to something like that. That's good.
And 2015 concert series contracts.
And you have all those with you along with the summary sheet on the front of the totals. This is for the 4 concerts for the summer. No July concert again.
Thank you. That was a hot one, and I mean, and a lot of folks are out of town, so I mean, I think that's a very good decision. I didn't hear one complaint about not having a July concert last year. That's very good. Everybody looks forward to these concerts. I mean, it's great what y'all get done with this thing. Is it safe to announce the bands? Or you want to wait until, okay. So it'll be next week. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we've got one more approval of the right-of-way acquisition services on the LCI, and that's the north end of town. And I'll let Renee speak of the money on that.
Okay, yeah, this is, was not as part of their, engineering proposal. And, so once they got everything back from DOT, this is just the proposal to actually do the, acquisition. And it also includes an estimate of, 24 parcels for 33,000. And obviously that's just an estimate. I wanted to make sure that we knew that, but it's so that Keck and Wood can get their guys to go out and do all the easement work that's necessary to do this grant.
Any questions? All right, no questions. That's all we got for tonight. So need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by
Second.
Ms. Second by Ms. Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank y'all.
Hey, we didn't, I thought I had it
We
inside.
didn't do anything wrong or forgot to do anything, right? I mean, we,
Some good discussion here.
I can make a motion next week. What?